Very good, thank you.
How is Celine's character, like, you first had your idea of what Celine was, how has it evolved over the years?
Well, a lot of different things have happened to her. So she started out the very first movie kind of very sort of repressed and almost kind of like a robot a little bit. And now so many things have happened to her and she's fallen in love and everyone's betrayed her and she now has a child that I guess in this movie you get to see a little bit more her vulnerable side, but she also gets more pissed off.
How does Underworld Awakening differ from so many of the other vampire films that are so popular right now?
I think it's always been more action-oriented in many respects. The Twilight movies are terrific franchises. They're a little more soft in many respects. And what this one does in particular is ask the next science fiction question, which is, if, say, tomorrow we learn that actually there are vampires and there are werewolves, they can prove it scientifically, how would that change the world? And looking at this one character and saying, push her forward 10 years, give her a kid to look after, how does that change her? So it's more of, I think, an action-oriented franchise and more of a story that deals more in the science fiction elements of this thing.
How has Celine's character evolved in this movie? Obviously, she has a kid and there's a couple more players in there. How has her character evolved and different in this movie as opposed to the previous ones?
In the previous one, she was always in charge. She knew where she was, knew where she belonged. There was a tradition and a history of that. And suddenly she wakes up and it's 10 years later. It's a whole different world. The dynamics have all changed. She has nowhere to go. Everyone she knows is gone. And for the first time, she's on her own and doesn't know what to make of the world.
You guys said before about creating new creatures and new baddies and new everything for this film. What was it like developing those characters?
Fun. I mean that's the, you know, it's like a kid in a kid store, you know. What do we need? We need more creatures. How do we do them? And then you start working on that. I mean, it's so much.
Yeah, and it's hard as well because, you know, there have been creatures done before in other movies and, you know, other Underworld movies and other movies as well. So you need to find something that still feels Underworld, but brings a little bit of difference to it. So it was very fun and challenging.
Yeah. Do people need to, are they able to be caught up in this installment with Underworld Awakening? If they haven't seen the previous ones, will they be able to follow?
No problem.
No problem.
No. It's very simple. I mean, the film starts with, you know, a recap. Mm-hmm. So it's very easy to go into it.
And I think it's the straightest story actually of them all. It's because some of the Underworld films are quite complicated in the story, and this one is more emotional and clear and simpler in that way.
Do you have any previous roles or training that you used in preparation for your role as David in the film?
No, not specifically. Not really. I think the key for me is
stay in shape.
Yeah. Do loads of sit-ups. No, I suppose the key is bringing an element of yourself to the character whilst making it different, whilst owning it, whilst owning the history of it, I suppose. But no, I suppose nothing specific. When you're looking at any character or David, you kind of think, how do you empathise with them? You know, how would you think like that? Would you make those same decisions? And if you don't, why would you not? And all those kind of questions.
What do you think is the element that makes this franchise so successful with its audiences?
I think a couple of things. History of it. It's got a very rich history, a rich mythology. But then also, is it the kind of gothic, you know, dark, kind of goth style? You know, do people like outsiders? They like kind of sexy outsiders in the shadow, I suppose.
Most of the training I did was weapons training, just because I shot 4 different guns in the film. I've already done some stunt driving before, so I didn't need to do that. And as far as, you know, I'm not a vampire, so I didn't have to work on, you know, contacts or makeup and hair and stuff like that. So yeah, it was kind of nice. But you know, I mean, and I'm the human component of the film, so I really just kind of brought that, you know.